All right, everybody, thanks for joining. We're going to get started here in a second. Just give people a minute. But today we're going to be talking about the Omni Fund. So it's our diversified fund. Should be a good time to just kind of answer. We're going to kind of boilerplate how we're going to run it, kind of like if you've been to one of our last webinars, we're basically going to discuss the opportunity, discuss the platform, and then I'll leave some time at the end for some Q&A. But if you have any questions, please just throw them in the chat. My team is going to be being able to field those questions to me so that I can hopefully answer most questions. But then we'll basically just walk through the opportunities, what companies are available, and then go from there. But we'll start here in just a few seconds. Okay, perfect. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. And if you're joining late, just please feel free to put some comments in the right-hand side, and my team can field those questions to me. We'll be talking about the Omni Fund. So Omni Fund is our most diversified offering yet. So on StartEngine Private, we have the individual opportunities, and then we have the multi-asset funds. So the multi-asset funds are something that investors have asked for a lot, that we have done multiple times in the past. And they've been really successful, and investors request them frequently. So that's why we launched the Omni Fund. It's going to be 12 offerings for a single investment. That way you can get exposure for a lower minimum than you would if you invested in each of these opportunities directly. So we'll go to the next slide. Yeah, so what is StartEngine Private first off? So StartEngine Private, it's going to be for accredited investors. We have crowdfunding on StartEngine, and then we also have StartEngine Private. So StartEngine Private is going to be for accredited investors. So that's either 200K in income for the last 2 years or $1 million net worth that we can qualify. So we have 75 plus pre-IPO offerings that we've listed in the past. So we've listed companies like Anthropic, Cerebras, Epic Games, Grok, Discord, Light Matter, many others. And there's been 73.5% of our offerings fully sold out. So a lot of client demand since we launched in Q3 of 2023. So 111 million has actually been invested since then, which is awesome to see our investors come out, because there's obviously a lot of demand for these Regulation D offerings. Average check size is around 25K, so lower than some other platforms that you see, but it's good to have some diversification. That's what we're trying to offer with the individual offerings and funds to help investors invest in multiple companies rather than just one. And then diversified funds, those are the Omni Fund, the AI Chip Fund, things like that. 5 of them have sold out so far, and this Omni Fund is the newest offering in that. And then we do have exclusive funds for IRA dollars and qualified purchasers. So IRAs, you can use Roth and traditional. And then if you're qualified as a qualified purchaser, which is 5 million plus in investments, we do have some additional investments there. Next slide. Yeah, so here's a quick breakdown of the Omni Fund. So it's going to be 12 companies, and I'll just read through them briefly. We'll go into a little more depth on a later slide, but it's going to be Kraken, Glean, Saildrone, Stoke Space, Agility Robotics, OneBrief, RegScale, Gecko Robotics, D-Matrix, Medallion, Altos Labs, and Lighten. So 12 companies, there's the breakdown there. This will be on the offering page as well. You can view this breakdown. You can view the subscription agreement that shows all the percentages of the opportunities, and we'll discuss that in a minute. But next slide. So I'm going to highlight just 3 offerings in the opportunity that we've had a lot of interest from investors, and just kind of highlight how the fund works. So Kraken is one of the first off. They're a leader in tokenized trading. If you know anything about cryptocurrency or tokenization, Kraken is a name that you hear very frequently. They're one of the largest and oldest Bitcoin exchanges. They've been around for a long time, and they've processed over 5 billion in transactions for tokenized US equities and ETFs. In January 2026, a SPAC that was sponsored by a Kraken affiliate filed a 250 million IPO. Kraken themselves did a $20 billion round as they are kind of growing and potentially looking at going public in the future. Kraken just had a new valuation at 20 billion, so that is a new. That's one of the companies that are listed in the Omni Fund. Next slide. Glean. So this is going to be AI-powered enterprise search. So this is a really cool company that has a few highlights that I think are significant. Is in June, they raised a 150 million Series F with an estimated 7.2 billion valuation. So smaller than some of the later stage companies, but they've already had a lot of traction. And then, as you can see, in December of last year, they were at 200 million ARR, which doubled their revenue in 9 months, which is a huge selling point as far as their growth. And then really one of the notable points that I think investors have latched onto is one of the 5 AI companies that OpenAI actually asked their investors to avoid. So Glean is one of the AI opportunities in the fund as well. Next slide. One of the trends we've been seeing in private equity a lot, especially in the last year or two, has been defense investing. So Saildrone is one of those opportunities. It's an AI-powered maritime defense vehicle. So these are autonomous defense vehicles that go around the ocean and can do scanning. They can do weather monitoring. They can do tracking of assets. They've done 2 million nautical miles for the U.S. military already. They partnered with NOAA, NASA, and more. In March 2025, they partnered with Palantir for maritime intelligence. Obviously, Palantir, huge publicly traded defense company. And then in January 2026, so just last month, they received a $50 million investment from Lockheed Martin. So they have a U.S. Navy partnership where it's nice to have Lockheed in your corner. So they are partnering with a lot of big names as we're seeing spending in the defense space on private equity rise. Next slide. So these are the other breakdown of the companies in the fund. So this is it's Stoke Space. They're going to be reusable rockets. Their goal is to try to provide more faster and cheaper rockets so that companies can launch to higher frequency. And then Agility Robotics, that's going to be humanoid robotics. They've had a lot of growth in recent months. As robotics has obviously grown, Tesla's with the Optimus robot, and then a lot of other companies are getting into that space. So that's one of the sectors we're also seeing investors move money into. OneBrief, another defense company, they are AI defense software. RegScale is compliance automation. Gecko Robotics is AI industrial robotics in shipbuilding and building maintenance. A lot of manufacturing side where Gecko Robotics has flourished. D-Matrix, AI hardware. Medallion is healthcare admin automation. Altos Labs is longevity tech. And then Lighten is advanced supermaterial manufacturer. So I'm just going to touch for a minute on the kind of the opportunity available in the Omni Fund, and then I'll go into some questions that I'm sure investors have. But the way it works is basically you're going to be investing in a 12 company fund. So for the minimum of 19,000, you can place the investment using regular dollars. So that's ACH, wire, credit card, or you can invest with an IRA. So you can use tax advantage dollars like IRA, 401k, self-directed IRA. If you don't have a self-directed IRA, StartEngine does have an opportunity to partner with us for a self-directed IRA, but both opportunities are available. So we're going to have an individual, have an offering for regular dollars, like I mentioned, ACH, wire, credit card, or then we're also going to have a separate page where you can invest using tax advantage dollars. So we've seen a lot of investors leverage both, because that's really what StartEngine from the beginning has been about, getting investors access to alternative investments. And now it's really building a portfolio, because the typical portfolio that you've seen in the past with just stocks and bonds just doesn't hold up nowadays. There's a lot of money moving into private equity, alternatives, real estate, things like that. And StartEngine wants to be at the forefront of that. And we've had a lot of investors that have had great success stories with some of these investments, and that's using either regular funds or IRA funds. So that way we can help you build a portfolio. And that's the goal of this fund, is you can get in for under 20,000. It's going to split your investment between 12 companies. And then just briefly how the exit works. And I can touch on this more if there's more questions later, but investors, once you place your investment and it's completed on the platform, it's going to stay private with StartEngine until these companies start to have exit events. So let's just use, for example, if one of these companies went public in the fund, you're going to have an exit event for that specific company. So if Agility Robotics, we'll just use, if they went public, you'll have either a share or cash distribution depending on the exit event for that investment. The remaining 11 companies are going to stay private, and then you'll receive 11 for the distribution. So in some assets that I've invested in the past and other investors have invested in the past, you have to wait for all the companies in the fund to have distributions before you get paid out. With the 5 funds that we've sold out so far, and with StartEngine, that's not how it works. We're going to give you distributions as the company happens. So if you get a distribution, you're going to get shares or cash, once those are available. That way you can have 12 exit events rather than 1. So we'll go to the next slide. Yeah, so I appreciate you listening. We're going to take some questions here in the chat. We have the link there to the Omni Fund for the opportunity, so you can view it there. You can reach out to me, you can reach out to one of our representatives. We'll have a link there as well that you can schedule a call if you'd like to discuss more. But yeah, that's the link for the Omni Fund, and now we'll go to some questions. So the offering is available now. So I know that we had a question about when's it available and the deadline to invest. So the offering is available now, and you can currently view it on the StartEngine private page. And you have a minimum of 19,715. The way that it works is we have 100 slots in the fund. So there's going to be 100 slots for the opportunity, or we have a maximum raise amount. The maximum raise amount is 1.97 million. So we have a maximum of just under 2 million or 100 slots, whichever investors hit first. So if the offering is on a wait list, that means that we ran out of space. We may potentially get space in the future, but right now we still have about 1.2 million remaining in the offering at that 19,000 minimum. Recommended investment size for this type of fund. Typically, as we saw in the past, what we list is on StartEngine Private, there's been around a 25K average check size. So of course, that can vary wildly. We have some opportunities that have minimums as low as 5K. We have some opportunities that have minimums as high as 75K. It really kind of just depends. And investors can obviously invest more above the maximum as well. But we basically have the recommended investment size we typically have is around 25 to 30K. That's been about the average from investors. And that's available in the individual offerings as well as the multi-asset funds. Slots left for the offering. So we have, like I said, we have currently we've raised 773,000 for the fund. So at that minimum of 19,715 in the Omni Fund directly, we've had 14 investors so far. And so we have 86 in slots remaining, depending on how much is raised. So once we do have, it'll update in real time on the page. And we do have some investors that put above the minimum. We do have investors that put above, certain amounts, or for that opportunity, investors like to split an investment in the Omni Fund. They also want to invest in U.com or some of the other opportunities. So you can do that. Some investors do invest the minimum and then spread it between a bunch of opportunities, or they invest more in a specific fund that they like. So it really just depends on what your specific investment strategy is and what you're looking for. How do you decide which companies get the most money in the fund? So the way we decide is we take a lot of feedback from investors. So what we do is, I myself as a private equity associate and other private equity associates, our leadership team, what we do is we're talking to investors all the time. So we want to get feedback on how StartEngine can be the best that it can be for investors. And we decide based on a demand for those companies, pricing that we can get to hopefully get investors a good deal, and then just the allocation that we have available. Some of these companies only have a small allocation available that we can get. So it really just depends on that. But in the specific breakdown of the Omni Fund, Kraken, Glean, SailDrone, companies like that, those are going to be sought after companies. Each of those individual offerings, Kraken, Glean, SailDrone, Stoke Space, companies like that, we had individual offerings for them as well. So those offerings actually did sell out and they're already on a wait list. So that is why we have, another opportunity here. We want to give investors opportunities to get back on those companies that we've seen demand from. And so this way, with the under 20K minimum, you can split that between all those offerings that we've listed in the past to hopefully have some of the diversification there without spending too much. Yeah, so I have not seen these multiple asset funds on other platforms. How is your pricing compared to them? So that's a great question. So pricing on the page is we post them at the bottom. So with StartEngine, with private equity, a lot of things can be vague and opaque, and it's hard to see exactly what you're getting into, exactly what the pricing is. We want to be very straightforward. We acquire these shares at a certain price, and then investors have, we have costs to do the investment, and then investors are going to invest at a price per share that's fully listed on the page. And so you can see that on the offering page. It shows fund price per share, and that'll be what investors are investing at. And it depends on the opportunity as far as us compared to other platforms. So sometimes we have lower share prices, sometimes we have higher share prices. There's a lot of demand for secondaries, and investors and platforms get these shares from different companies. So it's not just everyone's buying from the same seller. There's going to be individual employees and other opportunities. So it really can just kind of vary on the opportunity. What we do, we're aware of all the other platforms in the industry. We want to make StartEngine the most competitive that it can be. And so we look out there to see what's in the secondary market, see if we're getting a good deal, see if we're not getting a good deal. And we want to put investors first. We want to make sure that investors have access to reasonably priced opportunities that they can diversify their portfolio with. Yeah, so we had a question that said, I'm already invested in D-Matrix. Does it count towards the fund, or how can I invest in others without D-Matrix? Great question. So we have over a few thousand investors in StartEngine Private already. So for those investors that have participated in some of these individual opportunities, you can invest in the individual opportunities if they're still available. The fund is basically a set structure. So the reason we do this is that way investors can get access to all of these. If we have a fund, you're going to get access to all of those. If you don't want specific investments in the fund, we also have other funds on the platform that are available in the future. We also have, we try to list one of these typically about one a quarter, or depending on demand, sometimes even sooner. So if there's specific allocations that you have, obviously reach out to your private equity associate, reach out to us, and we're more than happy to answer if we're getting some other additional allocation. But the good thing about this fund is that you have the access to all of those 12 companies. And if this fund is not for you, we have funds in the future. That's the good structure about some investors do have access to these. A lot of investors don't have access to these companies as they haven't invested in them in the past. And so that's why we listed it, is because we have the demand for a more diversified multi-asset portfolio. What are the differences between single asset fund versus multi? Yeah, so the single asset fund versus multi is a great question. And I kind of touched on this earlier, but basically we have a lot of investors that want to have access to individual opportunities. If they just want to invest in Anthropic or SpaceX, things like that. Some investors they're set on a single company. While that's great, I do think that there are, obviously we want investors to invest in individual companies and build a portfolio that way. We like to offer these, and of course it's up to your specific risk tolerance, your preference. Every investor is different, and we're happy to have a conversation about your specific portfolio for you. But the reason that we like to have these is you get more diversification. You get 12 exit events rather than just one. So with the 12 exit events, you're going to be getting it. It's like if you put all your eggs in one basket in a single investment and you wait for that company to go public, could be 5-7 years. The company could have some challenges. It could have a really good return. It really just depends. Like with any stock portfolio or a retirement 401k, you want to be diversified. You want to have your eggs in multiple baskets. And that's why with this fund, we have AI, we have space tech, we have cryptocurrency, we have defense, robotics, things like that. That's the reason we've been building these last 5 funds and then this 6th Omni Fund is to provide the diversification. So pairing the Omni Fund with individual asset opportunities is a great portfolio strategy, because then you can have access to individual companies that may not be in this fund, and then you also have access to the Omni Fund. And then as far as fee structure, basically the way the fees work are very straightforward. So again, just to confirm, you have to be an accredited investor to invest in this opportunity. So once you're verified as an accredited investor, you can place the investment. You can use your IRA or your individual dollars. But the way the fee structure works is it's going to be pretty straightforward. Like I mentioned, we have the pricing for each share price on the opportunity. So you can see exactly what price per share you're getting into for each of these companies. And then the ongoing management fee is the only fee that StartEngine charges after exit, or after investment. So the way that works is it's a 2% annual management fee. and that'll be taken at the time of distribution. So you're not going to be charged that. It's not going to be pulled out of your account annually or anything like that. It'll be accrued over time, and then it'll be taken out of distribution. So in the past, we have had some funds that do have carried interest. This specific opportunity and most of the other accredited investor opportunities on the platform have 2% management fee. So that'll just be the 2% annual management fee, no carried interest. So once the company goes public, that you'll have the distribution. Very straightforward. You receive those shares into your brokerage account, and you receive that or cash if the company got bought out. Do you provide regular investor updates on the portal? For example, an evergreen register of active and exited investments and regular updates. Yeah, good question. So we do provide updates as we have a great marketing team and a team that solely looks through online and updates with our investor partners to get investors more real-time data, because that's a lot of the problem that we have that's been in private equity throughout multiple platforms is there's a lot of opaqueness and vague, and we want to be straightforward and have investors know exactly what they're investing in, because we do believe that private equity is the future. So what we do is we provide updates to investors either via email, or we'll upload something into your investor portfolio that you can see. And we are partnering with a company called Caplight to provide more real-time valuation information. So obviously the difference between public equity and private equity is public equity, you can sell a stock in 5 minutes, you know exactly what it's worth. Private equity, these companies are not public yet. So there's been kind of a screen above those, around those, and investors haven't been able to see a valuation for those. So we're looking to provide more regular updates, more valuation information, and then of course, if a company does a new round or does a new raise for companies, we love to update that to investors. And we also keep you posted on the timeframes for exit. So if any of these companies have an exit event, then we will have, we'll get those distributed to investors. We'll get you updated. If we need brokerage account information, we'll get that for you, and we'll handle the process from there. If there's no other questions, we'll wrap up, but I appreciate you taking the time today. StartEngine does not exist without our investors, and we love having these webinars. We love having conversations with investors. So please reach out to your private equity associate. If you don't know who your associate is, reach out on the platform. Please schedule a call. You can do it on the StartEngine private page. You can invest through the fund or however you want to reach us. So again, we appreciate you being on time today. You should get an email after this investment presentation about the fund. You can go on the StartEngine page, you can log in your portfolio, and we can go from there. But I appreciate everyone taking the time today, and have a great weekend.